Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Coffee with Craig show. We'll be talking about commercial real estate in Central and Eastern Europe. Welcome to this special edition of the Coffee with Craig show. We're here at MIPIM in the nice, sunny, warm weather, and finishing up with Hubert Abt, president of Workcloud24. Hubert, welcome.
Is it president now? Yeah.
Founder, president. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a lot of presidents here. Yeah. So great. We're on kind of the last day of the big last day of MIPIM, because tomorrow it kind of comes to an end, and we're closing up. And good, there's a little bit of sun for us today, but
it is left.
Hubert, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then tell us about Workcloud24, and then we'll talk a little bit more about MIPIM.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Craig. Thanks. Yeah, well, I'm in the business now for 35 years plus, and I guess that's the 25th anniversary or something like that.
Right.
MIPIM.
Right. Uh-huh.
So Tuesday, when I was, strolling through the stands, it was kind of reminding me the MIPIM after COVID was really, really less people here, only a few people. But I must say yesterday it picked up, and also today is quite busy. I
noticed everyone out of the fair is busy. You look at the boats; they're all having great dinners. You look at the restaurants on the beach. Business is being done here.
I mean, the webpage of MIPIM is registering 5,600 people being here, plus 2,500 exhibitors. So I guess this is roughly a third of what we see in the good years.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, great.
At the end of the day, but coming back to business, clearly it's a survive until 25. Wait and see modus. I guess the big question is when the capital markets are ready to come back, getting liquidity for transactions. So I guess the optimists hoping for end of this year, which I think is fair in assumption if we're talking about opportunistic deals.
Right.
But it's very clear to get back to a regular transaction volume, we will have another year to extend. That means that brings us easy by the end of 2025.
Right. So this year is kind of deals where there maybe some of the buyers or some of the sellers are being encouraged or forced to sell. Yeah?
Yes. I mean, we have the problem in CEE that we still have affordable growth rates in comparison to Germany, which is not a big thing these days to be in Germany. But anyway,
But, used to be.
But that brings the guys up to the belief that also the value correction for the real estate is not so high as it is predicted by MSCI index in west part of the Europe. Right.
Okay.
So basically, we see transactions nowadays in London already with 20%, 25% discount to the previous booking value.
Sales price or the valuation, price. Yeah.
And MSCI predicts an additional 40% to that, 20% already done for Europe, and that's a big chunk, right?
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's big numbers.
So it takes a time.
So it's going to take a while for this to settle down then, and I see some of the here at MIPIM, I've seen quite a few of the mezzanine financed guys walking around that you didn't see for a few years, and quite a few of the cash buyers walking around that I hadn't seen for 5 or 6 years when everyone was just issuing bonds at 0.5%.
Yeah. I mean that's for sure that everybody who has dry powder in the pocket is looking already and screening the market for opportunities, but that doesn't mean likewise that they will execute that, because if the forecast by end of the year is still for another year to wait, they will wait for other opportunities. I mean, these investment platforms like Invesco, they will always trade a little bit, but that's only a fraction from the regular volume.
Yeah. I mean, when talking to companies, the big investors, as you mentioned, here at MIPIM, a lot of them said, we're in the trough, but maybe we're just starting the trough, and it's like, okay, we're feeling bottom, but it's not really time maybe to jump on it right yet. And that's probably why a lot of these regional investors and local investors are, we see a lot more deals being done by between 40, 60 million euros. And those guys are jumping, they've got the money, they understand the market a little bit better, a lot better, and moving on.
Yeah. It always depends very much on the asset class. It's always these offices. There is a lot of question mark unanswered. So the one part is still, what is the real need of employees on the office? It's 3 days or 4 days, For sure, we agree it's not 5 days. It would never been 5 days, by the way, right? So
our office is 5 days.
Yeah, and then you have the shared office segment, which is 500,000 employees in Poland only, which makes 5 million square meters.
Yeah.
And these guys are just replaced by artificial intelligence, little by little, right?
I see more and more of that coming. Yeah.
And then it's not the question, is it 20% occupied? Then it's the question, is it occupied at all? And these question marks are not there to build trust back into the asset class. And for that, we see some more, I would say, unfair discount kind of towards this asset class until it's clear which parts, because everybody brings up the new developments, which are flagship properties, brand new, ESG compliant, best locations, selling like sliding bread, on premium rents. But the problem is the standing asset, 10 years and older, 20 years and older. And that's the majority of the market. That is 96, 98% of the total market.
Well, BlackRock, didn't they just issue a press release saying I want to say 30%, but I'm not sure, it was like obsolete space in Europe, continental Europe, because it's older space, maybe because they want to buy some, but there was a big number that came out during MIPIM, so I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing, but it was a kind of a big scary number of obsolete space.
Well, I'm hate to be right. That's my prediction for 4 years already, and it's confirmed by Cushman and Jones Lang in the UK as well. So it's no news from BlackRock.
It's not shocking.
This is basically only confirming what is sinking into the broad acceptance of the market, and a big question mark, what we do with the 30%, but also what we do with the remaining 70%, which is also standing assets. And we need to bring that fit for the next 10 years. ESG compliant is the buzzword, and that's not done until now. There is no really answer to that question, because we can transform 1.5 to 3% of the standing assets. But that end of the decade, when we should prove 50% carbon reduction, that only makes 10, 15%. So 60, 70% in the ballpark is always left over. So what do we do with that one?
Right, exactly. Well, here at MIPIM, it seemed like every single panel discussion started with ESG. We need to be ESG. I mean, whether it was a city, they want to be carbon neutral. Warsaw was very good at it, and a lot of the cities in Poland. But it seemed like, I mean, around the world, or at least around Europe, everything started with carbon neutral. We've got to take care of this and situation. And, it seems like a lot of it's actually going into practice now.
I mean, clearly we left the level of science-based discussion and leveled it up to a political discussion when it was the taxonomy. So from the Green Deal to the taxonomy, the change was from science-based discussions to political. And it will drive forward in the political discussion, but also the regional and the national regulations are not aligned to each other. And that makes the mix up, so why in Netherlands, energy performance C is needed to stay in traffic and be able to lease the space. That's not the case in Hungary.
Right. Okay.
Because the majority of the buildings in Hungary are D and worse, right?
Right. Yeah. There's a few shiny ones there that are very
few shiny ones. But again, standing assets is the problem, right? So I guess the question is, how can we overcome? You see my posts, MIPIM Day 1, 2, 3, all about ESG. Help of technology, help of a little bit of software. But at the end of the day, you're in the film, Corny. But at the end of the day, it's all about the first step, and then it's a moving target.
Right. So what do you want to get? What did you get, or what are you getting out of MIPIM on this trip with Workcloud24? You've got a very extensive services on how to monitor, how to build a plan for ESG for buildings. How did this MIPIM go for you, or how?
Well, we realized over the last 4 years in MIPIM, ESG got more and more and more on the front stage, from the backstage to the front stage. And I would say, if you see this curve of adoption of technology and new things, we are on the stage of the early majority. So you need about 16.5 to 18% to get the trigger point for a broad acceptance, and we are there. Now we are there. Now is the question, what happens in the execution?
Right. Because I remember when you first started a few years ago, you were saying, no one even knows it. No one's doing anything. So the taxonomy, you think that's what's pushing it?
Yeah,
What's
banks,
the
banks,
banks as well.
are well aware on the risk to basically influence the entire portfolio. So if this happens, then you have a problem when the next rating is due because your refinancing costs are getting up on the entire portfolio. So you need to be very, very cautious when you're lending today that it fits kind of requirements.
Right. Okay, well, Hubert, thank you for joining our Coffee with Craig show this afternoon. Yeah, a lot of traffic here at MIPIM, isn't
which
there?
is good.
Thank you all for watching the Coffee with Craig show here at MIPIM this Thursday afternoon out in the... Click here to subscribe to the Coffee with Craig show, and don't forget to share it with your friends.